Hello everyone and welcome back to the Giant Podcast. This is our 12th edition of the podcast. It's you right?
Yeah,
on it we talk all things Giants Rugby League. I am your host Cameron Deacon and joined by the Huddersfield legend that is Earl Crabtree.
Good to be back.
And once again joined by the sound of every Huddersfield Giants matchday experience, it's Mr. Tim Burton.
Earl's pleasure as always.
And our guest today, with over 355 appearances for both club and his country, Scotland. He has represented 5 different teams across Super League and England across his 17-year career. He has represented the Giants for a total of 5 years, making over 100 of 10 appearances for the club as both prop and second row. It's ex-Huddersfield and Scotland player Paul Jackson.
Hello,
Hey.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome, Jacko.
Cheers.
You made a weird face then, did I get that wrong?
Oh no, I just can't imagine Jacko in second row.
I think I had this in the hooker somewhere as well.
Mind you, I played centre for a while as well,
Yeah.
so I don't know how that happens. Where would you play, Tim?
Me, I'd play scrum half, I reckon,
Scrum
or
half.
stand off.
Why?
Just because I've got great skills.
Yeah,
Just
I thought so.
brilliant
Yeah,
skills.
I thought it'd be purely on the skill level.
If not, I play prop, obviously.
Yeah.
Because I'm harder than you and you played prop for a long time.
You're
so.
very physical.
And we're not paying for that at all now, are we?
You would make a good half-back, and simply because you're so gobby.
Is that right?
Yeah. They tend to be, don't they? The good ones.
Yeah, the good ones.
Yeah,
Yeah,
to be
gobby,
quite
yeah.
gobby.
I don't know if I'm gobby. I don't know about that.
I know. Bruffy obviously was probably one of the most gobbiest ones, and
Yeah.
I think you're probably even worse than him. So,
Really? That's
So you
harsh.
probably
That
get
is
a
harsh.
few sin binnings along
Yeah,
the way. But
yeah.
I think
What
you're doing all right.
about Robbo? Robbo, gobby?
Yes, actually, yeah, very gobby, and
Yeah.
Jacko was a testament to that. Actually,
Probably even
wasn't
worse off the pitch than the one on. The little fella.
it? Oh.
Had a few tussles.
Well, while we're on to the subject of mine and yours relationship, or with you thinking me being gobby, obviously we've spent a bit more time together recently. You know, doing one thing and another. You know,
Sounds
working
romantic.
together. I'm just getting a bit worried. I'm getting a bit worried. You're getting a bit too attached, and that you're starting to follow me about a bit.
Why are you saying this?
Well, because I went for a nice walk, with family and friends on Sunday afternoon, pretty much in a part of Huddersfield where you would never find me, right? And I'm walking there with my family and friends, just having a nice time, and you pulled up alongside me.
Yeah.
I'm starting to get worried that you're stalking me, Earl.
I could say the same thing because where you was walking is right next to my house, so I tend to go there quite often. And I saw circulating around your house is a bit worrying. He's talking about me being attached. I will pull up there eventually because that's where I live.
Just stop stalking.
All right, mate. Leave it
Move
at
house.
Oh man, and a breakdown of a relationship. That's an interesting one to have on the podcast.
that. Oh, don't say that. That's never happening. We're as strong as we've ever been.
No, yeah.
Why are you trying to get between us like that?
Yeah,
What are you trying to suggest?
I can slag him off, you can't.
Exactly.
I would never
No,
say
you're
that. Much bigger than I am.
Right, anyway, come on.
Right, so Paul, before we go too off the rails, first thing I wanted to start off with was that noticing your career, you started off with Huddersfield and then left and then you came back.
Yeah.
What was that like for you?
Well, I'd had, when I first signed professional terms, I had, I think it was Bradford interested in Huddersfield. My philosophy, Bradford were a massive club then, and Huddersfield were on the up, and I just thought everything that they offered at Huddersfield, like the family environment and stuff. So I kind of leaned to it, and also with them they were currently in the division below as well. So I thought that's probably a better opportunity for me to progress there. Again, it was just a bit like I didn't start playing rugby for that long, and then I played one season at Stanningley, my amateur club, and then I got signed from Huddersfield. So quite a quick transition. So it was one of them. I think, I'll just ride the wave as it comes at the moment, and if I get a year out, and it's somewhat achieved. So to get to where I did, it would just every time I signed a contract, I'll just see how far I can keep going because I never expected it to last so long. But yeah, Huddersfield, I got. It was Gary Schofield, the coach at the time, would have been promoted in the Super League and with the Christmas game. So he's asked me if I'd like to play some of the Christmas friendlies. So I played them. Then we had the meeting, and they were announcing the squad numbers, and I didn't expect anything. And then when my name come out, I still asking people at the end of it, did he call me out at that? And I didn't have a contract or anything. It was just, yeah, you're in. And I thought, oh right. and that was it then.
And you brought your boots?
Yeah, that was it. I didn't think nothing of it, and then it got announced in the paper. But the funny question was, we were training once at the a gym in town, I think it was, and Paul Cook, who was the fullback, he was a bit of a joker. He said, "Oh, there's Chris from the Examiner on the phone for you. He wants to speak to you." And I thought, he winds everyone up, so I went to answer this call, and it sounded like Cookie, so I think I was abusing Chris down the phone quite a while. Yeah, you've got me. And then Cookie walked past me, and I went, "Oh, I'm really sorry." So we had to we got off on the bad foot, but it was good. It was funny. He knew he'd done me over there, but yeah, interesting. So then I had the one season in the Super League. Played quite a few games, to be fair, which I wasn't expecting. I think I got 13 in that first year, so really enjoyed it. And then we had Mo Riley come over, so they'd offered me a contract again to stay, which I was happy to stay. And then we were training, and we're down at Zenica, and my friend Guy Adams, who played here, he'd come up to the office, come back, and went, "I've got some bad news, Jack. They said they're not keeping me, even though they'd agreed the contract." So I went, "Oh, sorry, mate." And he went, "They need to speak to you now." I went, "Oh, all right." So I'll go down there, and they were like, "Well, we'd like to keep you in the reserves." Or I said, "Oh, no, I'll try and look somewhere else." That's when I went to Wakey. So I didn't really want to move. I did agree a contract, and then they were just never ready to sign.
Can we just rewind a bit? You played 1 year as an amateur, and then you turned professional. Had you not played rugby previous?
I played rugby union for a bit, like at 16, and then it was Bramley Buffaloes when they had the academy. So the coach then took us down. So I played a couple of them, and then Mark Adams, who was the Stanley coach, and we're good friends with him still. He taught me to come down to Stanley, and I won many games into Stanley, and because they were quite a successful team, they always had scouts coming around. And that, again, I didn't know there were scouts there. With Brian Dobson, and he'd come over and give me a card, and I just didn't think no of it. I thought, oh, brilliant. And then, but the funny thing is that I was working for Salford Van Ayer at the time, the apprentice mechanic. And I was working ridiculous hours for an apprentice. We found out we were illegal in the end. But they said, "Oh, this weekend," I'd already working Saturday. They said, "You have to work Sunday as well." I said, "Well, I've got an important game." They said, "Right, if you're not working, you can take your tools home at the end of the day." So I had a decision to make then, and I thought, I'm not being bullied. So I said, "Well, I'll take my tools home at the end of the day." And that weekend, I met Brian Dobson and got signed. So
brilliant.
Yeah, a bit of justice there. And I went back a few years later to hire a van. And some of the bosses that never give me the time of day, they were, "Oh, hiya, Jack," and all that. I just thought, didn't have no time. I went to speak to all the guys that I worked with, and they were all shocked because I sort of like shunned them all. And, well, I mean, it
goes around.
Of course it does, yeah. I mean, they didn't have a time of day for me, and then all of a sudden they were like, "Yeah, come and chat." So,
did you get a new job soon enough after that? Or?
Well, yeah. I stayed in mechanic, and then I sort of like I come to Huddersfield, and they had like an apprenticeship here, and I was going to come on board with that, and then obviously it all changed then, yeah. So I was just doing a few. With Guy Adams had his own tiling company, so he learnt me a bit of a trade there, which was good, which set me up for the future. So I got qualified in that as well.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
I want to just bring up one of the names you've mentioned already, and one of your first coaches is in Gary Schofield.
Gary Schofield, yeah.
And I've heard lots of stories in the past. I don't know if you can share a little bit about maybe how training went and maybe reviewing things like that.
Yeah.
Like back in the day, it's a little bit different to what it is now as well.
Totally different.
Suggesting.
I mean, from when I left Huddersfield that time to when I come back to it was just a total change. I mean, our team review, so after a game we'd do swimming, which I think everyone did. We didn't do much of that, and then it was team meeting in Leeds Road pub. What's it called, that one?
Next to sandwich bars, like the White Line or something like that.
Yeah, it was a pub. Everyone had to meet up there, and you all had to have an alcoholic drink. So there was no video, there was no looking through. We'd all sit around in a circle, and it was like, right, so everyone's drinking. Anyway, right, no one's leaving here till 4 o'clock. We're having a team, and that was pretty much Monday, which turned into Tuesday. And then I've never drunk so much in my life. And then there was a Thursday club, and it's like, no wonder we didn't do very well on the pitch. But yeah,
good crack, though.
Yeah, it was a good crack. Yeah, it was good character building. But yeah, it was interesting then to go to another club, and you did video and stuff. So. It has evolved again. Probably from when I've retired, it'll be different. Still, there's a lot more complex and a lot more science behind things now. So,
still the same amount of alcohol, though.
Well, yeah, I'd have thought so. I mean, I don't drink now, so that's the one thing it'd probably be all right at.
But in your second stint at Huddersfield, you obviously played together. What was it? What were you two like in a team? How much do you remember about that?
Very close, weren't we?
Yeah.
Initially, before Andy joined as well, we got on really well, didn't we? I mean, again, all the boys when they come back, they were brilliant. We had a really good. it's hard to replicate that. We often talk now, don't we? Them times now, when we moved on to different clubs and stuff, it never were the same as what we had here. We spent time off the pitch, on the pitch, and obviously we had some great success here as well. But yeah, like I say, I speak to Andy and there's only probably Wayne Godwin as well that obviously weren't here, but you make friends for life, but there's only a certain few that you remain in contact quite.
Yeah, there was obviously there was us two, and as soon as like Jacko came, and we had some good people around us as well. That they were like your best mates, and you spent so much time with them and so much time off the field, but you knew everything about them. And it's something Steve Hardy was saying before. We didn't just know each other as players; you knew each other as people. We'd go to birthday parties and stuff like that with each other. We were invited along. It's like weddings and stuff like that. Whereas I think it's more professional these days, and they know them as players rather than people. But there was me and Jacko, and I remember obviously, and then Andy Raleigh came into our little.
We took him under his wing, didn't we?
We did, and he needed it.
He did, yeah.
Well.
He was in a bad place, and at one point he thanks us for it. Still now, at one point he was going to quit. He'd come from Sheffield, didn't he, and come into the full-time environment, and he was in a place where it wasn't good, was it?
He got absolutely peppered by the coaching staff at the time, and I remember it, and I don't mind saying it because I saw it firsthand, and I think it was John Sharp that probably led that to a certain degree. And what they do, these coaches, sometimes is just try and toughen them up by being pretty harsh on them. Everything, they picking every fault in the game, every mistake, or even if they didn't make a mistake, they still get hammered for stuff. And Andy came into that in full-time environment where I think the coaching staff tried to make a bit of an example of him, also teach him that this is the way it's done. And Andy went into his shell a little bit, and it was tough for him.
I mean, it's such a nice lad as well, isn't he, Andy? Do you know something? He's so placid and stuff, and it was sad to see, wasn't it? And we sort of like we were in Portugal. I remember the time we were over at a training camp at Browns, and he looked like he was going to burst into tears, bless him. So we sort of like we went through stuff and try this, try that. And obviously, look how successful he was here and away kid, But that could have been a total different story. And it's like that in a lot of clubs, really. It is a tough environment to be in, especially coming from a part-time environment to that and joining. It was, wasn't it? Honestly, it's one of them. I think we need more to look at. I know there's a big emphasis on mental health and stuff now, but at that time it wasn't really at the forefront. So he probably could have suffered in silence, but it's
good on you, because he would have been a big loss to the club, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Raleigh was a great player for us.
He got a Players Player of the Year as well, before he moved on to Wakefield. Unfortunately signed again, and then got told that we didn't need him, which was a massive shame because he was ultimate professional. And unfortunately, as I've seen in the past, the good people, the ultimate professionals, the ones that work the hardest and don't put a foot wrong, tend to be the ones that get, pushed to the side, which is a shame to see. But Andy fitted into that mould. But he was just a great bloke, an absolute sensational sort of guy to have around your team. Very smart as well, but it took him a while to sort of come to terms with the environment, which is full-time rugby league, which is quite tough. I think it's changed a lot now, though. It isn't quite the same, but we were probably personally glad that he did, because we became such good friends that he's a mate for life, as Jacko is as well. So it's these are the people that you'll always remember through all those things you went through. It's quite nice memories in a way.
I'd like to just go back a bit. Obviously, Cameron just came to your second stint at Huddersfield. How long did you spend at Wakefield, and how did you come about back to Huddersfield?
Right, so I've left Huddersfield to go to Wakefield. I had 4 great years there. I really developed. I felt like I was playing really good rugby. I talked about making like the Yorkshire squad and stuff. Never quite got there. I was playing 80 minutes as well at prop every week, and just really enjoyed it. John Harbin, who ends up being a coach there, I still speak to John today, and again, if you speak to people who John's been involved with, he is, like the football clubs that now, they take him to each club because he's just so influential in stuff he does. It was here initially when I was at Huddersfield, we got him on board to be the conditioner, but then one thing led to another and he didn't end up getting the job, so I kind of knew him from then. But I had 4 great years at Wakefield. Then there was I think they offered me less or something. We think we might sign you, and they were just playing the game, and I just thought. And then in the meantime, Ryan Hudson, who I played Huddersfield with, he was at Castleford, and he said, "Well, the Castle are really interested." So I thought, well, again, I'd like to stay at Wakefield, but they weren't really. And then they come back with a lower offer, and then Castleford come in, and I thought, well, why not? It's a big club, Castleford. It would be good to test myself. And then after that, they were like, oh, well, you're 24, I think, so we can get you out of your contract. And I thought, well, I don't like to play them games. You had your chance. Castleford come in, it wouldn't be fair. I've already agreed. It wouldn't be fair to me to backtrack then. So I sort of like stuck to my guns and then went to Castleford, which unfortunately I didn't have the best time. I had a pretty bad shoulder injury, which is still paying its price now, but I didn't have the best first stint at Castleford, which were quite disappointing. And then our Castleford come to an end. We obviously got relegated that year, so as you do at the end of the year, you go on holiday where family. As I landed, I forgot who it was for me. Said, oh, we're not getting paid. So, what do you mean? As soon as you got relegated, they've cancelled your contract because as you relegated, but normally you go till November.
Yeah.
So that landed, there were no money coming up to Christmas and stuff, so I pretty much had to live on Visa cards, paying mortgages. It got me into quite a lot of financial trouble. We ended up getting some back, but you're already then behind the 8 ball. Yeah. And then spoke to John Sharp about coming here. He said we've not got much money on the salary cap, so I had to take. I never on good massive money, but it was like I could have earned more working, but I was like, no, I still think I've got a lot to offer. Yeah. I come back to Huddersfield and let's say the environment, I kind of got on really well with John and obviously Bill and all the players and stuff, so I had a pretty good start coming back to Huddersfield. And I was rewarded with a better contract. It was kind of like I had to back myself a little bit, which I was fine doing, and but I didn't really have anything else I could fall back on, so I kind of a bit stuck there, which now there's more emphasis on having something to fall back on, which I did at Cass. I was player welfare for a short time, trying to get the place to think about the futures, because I went through a tough time, and hopefully passing on some pointers.
I'm just interested in you mentioned there a lot about your friendships within Huddersfield, and so what's it? I'm interested to know what it's like. You have such a good friendship off the field. Does that get fractured or tested when you're on the field? If someone makes a mistake, are you going at each other, and how long does that last afterwards?
I think Drewy used to be if you dropped a ball or something, he was the worst, wasn't he? He used to be scared. He was a small guy, but we were like, I wouldn't want to mess with him. If you put a ball down or you didn't run the right line for him, he were.
But then obviously you moved away to Cass, and I remember one incident where I think I might have kicked you in the face.
Yeah, I think I thought obviously Earl size for my size, I'm perfect height to get underneath, and I think I got and put him down, and then he didn't do it on purpose. He accidentally kicked out and got me in the face.
I didn't know who it was. I didn't want accident at the time. I just didn't realise it was Jacko at that time. Someone had my ankle. And I decided to stuff this to get in it, and then sort of kicked out, and then I looked up who Jacko, and he had stud marks down his face.
I think it was Stu Jones that had hold your ankle, and I went over the top, and then your foot caught me in the face. But there was no animosity there.
And then we kind of made a deal after that if we ever play against each other, we don't run at each other. I don't think you're meant to be able to do that sort of thing.
No.
I had the same deal. I had the same deal with Wayne Godwin when he were at Bradford, and then I was at Huddersfield, and he come out the line, and I just saw him at the last minute. He was trying to hurt me, and he hit my hip and knocked himself clean out, blood all over. And he goes, "You led with your elbow." And I've watched the video, and I just said, "We had the pact, and you broke it, and that was the consequence of you breaking the pact."
Do you know what? That's good karma from sort of keeping your deal at Castleford. That's what that is.
Yeah. I'm a bit angry. I'm like, when we're supposed to be mates? I'm sorry, Jacko. But after he got about 20 stitches in his paper mache head.
Yeah, it is. But that's the thing with rugby. Obviously, you have to run hard, you have to tackle hard, no matter who it is. But I mean, if you can avoid each other, like we probably did a couple of times, totally by accident, just the way the game went, it makes life easier. Because ultimately, I've got to run into him as hard as I can, and he's got to hit me as hard as he can, and vice versa.
But it's in training as well, isn't it? Like when you're doing contact, and you're not got the same mindset, so you pick up the other elbow, you pick up things, and it's like. On the game day, you've got the different mentality. You're psyched up, your adrenaline's pumping. But in training, it's hard to say, right, you're doing 75%. Who knows what 75% contact? Yeah. You can't do 75% contact. So it was one of them, and you pick up little things. But we had the banter and stuff, didn't we? Yeah. And that. And like I said, there were never, even throughout the rugby, there were never any animosity.
Can you remember, your best 17 at that time? Could you say, well, this was our best 17 from that era? Starting at fullback, going through to your bench.
Wow, this is really under pressure.
I often sit and try and work out, and I'm like, oh, but I can't leave him out, and I can't leave him, and it's one of them. It's so difficult to do a best 17.
Do you know what? I think if you actually
Let's do it. Let's start number one.
Can we do that for the next podcast? All right. Why
Let's
what
do
you
some
think?
homework
Can you
on
throw
that.
some names out there?
I'm just trying to remember
I
who
always
was playing
forget
that era.
exactly. I always forget who was playing, but I
And
think
I
if
can't
you
remember
look
who
back-
was Hodgie.
Hodgie's got to be up there. I mean,
full back.
absolute
Yeah.
legend, innit?
Yeah.
But then you got Paul Riley, tough as.
Yeah,
It's not like if you're in a trench, Riles
Yeah.
is the one you'd want with you because
Yeah.
he'd be just running there. And anyone when I've seen him put props on the backside and stuff, and
ran over top of Stuart Field and off
Yeah.
a pop out on
Yeah.
forget it.
And he went at him again, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He
Yeah.
just steamrolled him. I mean,
Yeah.
like, he did that to Stuart Field, and
Yeah.
he was like an absolute freak of a bloke. That's because he just didn't care. He had
and
that mentality.
the different type of fullback, like Hodgie's skill would just and vision and leadership were just second to none, weren't they? They're
And
just
he's man of steel, so it's like
Yeah,
you've got to
exactly.
put him in there,
Yeah.
right? You know, ultimately.
yeah.
And he got ragged off a field by Gordy Tallis.
Exactly. So he gets bonus points.
Yeah,
for
bonus
that.
points for that.
Any wingers? I don't know. Where would you go to? I mean,
Rocket Rodney Jensen.
Yeah, he was up there.
He was
Wasn't he?
rapid, but not the most talented. I didn't
Was he
think.
not? Yeah.
I think like I'd probably go with.
If you give the ball in that, it was.
Oh God, he
Let's
was
say it was.
rocket.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. We actually did one of those plays. I think it was at Hull KR where he kicked it from a scrum 10
Yeah.
yards out. Just chased that mate, and he just sprinted all the way
Yeah.
down and scored it. But I'd say probably more like David Hodgson was more of a
Hodge, yeah.
talented
Yeah.
player.
Just
Yeah.
a natural gifted. I mean, even when he
Read the
come out of
game.
retirement, it was still
Yeah.
like it should be still playing. You know, he's just class. And yeah, if it stays on the radar a little bit, I'll just done it. But yeah, just natural speed and finishing.
I don't know where would you go from there for any more wingers? Come on, you
Aspinwall.
Aspinwall.
Yeah, he was. It was a tough carrier, wasn't it?
Is Alfred playing?
Centre would not have had. He was injured every 2
Yeah.
seconds.
Yeah.
He was a top bloke, really good player, but did struggle a little bit. But I mean, I'm trying to think of Fatuira is a great centre if you're going to
Yeah.
look at,
Yeah.
at centres.
Chief, Michael De Vere.
Michael De Vere.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look back at some players you played alongside,
Yeah.
it's just. Like, I've been watching some of these old Origins and stuff, and it's just like we were in them teams together. It's
Yeah.
just it's a bit surreal.
Leroy.
Leroy, exactly. You forget about those.
Yeah.
So you are obviously Dave Hodgson, but you could say then Jermaine McGilvery. Obviously, he's the more of your modern player.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like
Then Bruno would have winged at one point.
Yeah, he was. He was.
Went for the field,
And then
yeah.
he just got bigger
Yeah.
and bigger and bigger and bolder. His hair started receding even more, so it totally went. And now he's just a prop.
I
That's
remember,
what
I've
he
got to
is.
apologise to Bruno. I remember the gym blitz that we had to do. It was a horrible thing. It was on the rower for 1,000 metres. He had to get off and he had to clean. Only 40 kilogram, which still sounds a lot to me now. But
Yeah.
then it was like
Clean and
until
press
you'd
that.
done that, and then you had to do. Can't say what it was, but you had to get on the floor and jump up.
Burpees.
Yeah, we called them something else. And he had to, and he started at 10 and worked your way up. So the rower got lower and they got higher. And we were one at first and in. And it was a good time. We're like under 30 minutes, so it was a long haul. And again, not like you said about coaches trying to break you.
They're getting you right.
If your arms didn't lock out, even though they did, that didn't count. If your chest didn't touch, even though it did.
On
And
the rower, go
yeah.
as hard as you possibly can. But there's like techniques and tactics to doing these things. A little bit like a game. You wouldn't just go as hard as you possibly can. Like you wouldn't sprint an 800 metre race. Do you know what I mean? You wouldn't sprint a 10,000 metre race.
Which I think I told Bruno. He said, "How did you go, Jack?" I went, "Oh, good. You got to go full out on the rower." I think 10 minutes in, he was sat down stewing up. I think he actually cried.
He actually sat down on a bench, and everyone's like, "What you doing? Get
Get
up!
up,
You
get
can't
up."
sit down and have a rest. Like, you've got to get through it." And poor
I did
lad.
feel awful after that. To me, I thought it was quite funny. The young lad, I thought he was gone. No, afterwards I felt like, probably shouldn't have done that. Poor Bruno.
Yeah. 6 and 7 then.
You can't look past Bruffy again. We've been a Man of Steel, and then for me probably Drewy as well. And I don't know whether them two could ever play together like that.
Yeah.
I mean, they tried to, I think, for a little while, but that's Bruffy was sort of coming through where Drew were there.
They were at Wakefield, that wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think they had a few choice words.
Yeah, I mean, I said if you're talking about ability, you probably put. I'd say them two players in those positions probably.
Like Robbie Paul.
Oh, no, he was far too past it when he
Past
got
it,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, and he's gobbier than you actually.
Is he?
Nah. But he was
Get some doing.
no. At 7, he was better. He was better at hooker for us. He played a lot of hooker.
Yeah.
He was really good for us in that position. I'm only taking the mick out of Rob because I'm good friends with him, but he was a class act who probably better in previous years simply because he got older. But offered so much in the hooker position. We say the same about Drew when he came. I remember him training for the first time, and he was just absolutely lightning out of dummy half.
Yeah.
So wow, what about this guy? But then you'd have to have Robbo at hooker for me, because he's just such a great man. Although we've got the smallest team in the world at this point, with Robbo and Ruffy. I'll have to get some size somewhere else, probably in the pack.
We've got Foreman as well, though, haven't you? I mean, when he went at half-back, but then we put him to full-back, which
ruined his career. That's all right. The rest of it is. In fact, Bruffy absolutely hammered him at Hull. I remember that.
With the bombs.
So, John Sharp had this great idea of putting Chris Foreman at full-back, and Spuggy, being the kind of guy he is, he just put his hand up and said, "Yeah, I'll do that." And it didn't really work out great for him. He's a natural 6, very good, very talented, and probably should have done even better than what he did, and he was great. But then he managed to get away from John Sharp here when he wasn't working well for him. He went over to Hull. Anyway, John Sharp followed him to Hull, put him back to full-back, and Bruffy, being Bruffy, knew that he was at full-back, knew that he probably wasn't going to be the best under a high ball, and he put the biggest bombs up in the world. He just went up and he came down with snow on them, and he probably dropped about 4 on the bounce or something like that. I felt so sorry for him, because he was just, again, putting his body on the line for the team in a position that's probably not in his best. Got absolutely peppered, and again, it's funny how coaches have their say on what happens with players and dictate quite a bit. But I felt sorry for Spuggy that time, but undoubtedly a great player, wasn't he?
Competitive just in everything, wasn't he?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking of actually, while you're putting your best team together, I'm wondering, would you say then that Huddersfield side that you played with in your second spell was probably the best time that you had played?
Yeah, definitely. I still, like I say, with 2 Challenge Cup finals in that spell, it was just, like I say, not just friends for life, but the team, it was like, I mean, I think we finished quite high in the Super League as well, didn't we? And
we finished like 3rd, like 3 times on the bounce or something like that, and then 1st as well.
And I think that because everyone were really close knit, and everyone knew what everyone were doing, so there was that fight for everyone, wasn't there?
Yeah, and you started looking at the forwards that we had as well, and I don't mean to be disrespectful to the ones we've had in previous years, but the likes of David Failonga, Luke O'Donnell, like one of the toughest blokes you've ever. Hard. And then you look back a little bit, and you look like Ben Rorty, who came over, another tough bloke, and you just kind of forget about these people. And then around John Scandalis, for me, he helped me a lot, and it's these players that came over and they just ripped in and they killed it.
But I think also we've gone from Huddersfield signing players that were probably coming to the end of the careers to go into, like, say, when we announced that Druid, Fatuera, Scandor, these type of players were coming through, Jamal. Do you know what I mean? These were all grand final winners in Australia and still at peak of the careers, and then all of a sudden we've gone from that to signing these type of players. It's sort of like lifted the expectation of Huddersfield. You've gone from, like I say, we couldn't normally challenge for them type of players.
Just automatically lift your standards.
It's full-on international players that come into it.
Again, he came over, and Mick De Vere, and he came over, and I've never seen anyone as professional in my entire life. He was another level. He would not turn up late. He'd be there, like about 20 minutes, half an hour stretching before we started any session. That was before anyone did stretching. Like, everyone's like, what is he doing, the weirdo? But this was him, and he would not do anything apart from when he decided to retire. I think we're in Catalan, and we all went out. 8 morning, we had a swim session. He didn't turn up.
Did he not?
No, and he just retired, and he got to that point, and I think he's like, I've done this, I've been ultimate professional, never put a foot wrong.
I think he'd had a few beers.
On the last day, he had a few beers, and I went, nah, you're not doing it.
Did anybody say it to him?
No.
Because he was a martial art expert, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was,
Many people knew that. He was, when we had Johnny Grayson, who was equally as tall as Earl, he'd done, Mick had done some bench press. He got up and he just put his foot up to Johnny Grayson's neck and held him up against a wall, and just silently, not kicked, but just held him there. And everyone just looked, what the hell's just happened? He just like walked off. Oh, bloody hell! They found out he was like into his martial arts as well.
So where did we get to? 6, 7. You mentioned Drewy at 9, Robbo at 9.
Yeah.
What about Fui?
Fui better for me at 13 with that left foot step when he played there, but then you've got Stephen Wild for me was absolutely sensational. Luke O'Donnell if you unless you put him in back row. I don't really know, there's a few more players.
Right, here's one for you then. Best 8 and 10s.
Well, I'm not including myself, obviously.
Are you benching yourself?
That's where I made a career on the bench. I'm setting someone up here to do all the hard graft first, and I'm going to come on, rip it up, and score a few tries and get a man at match.
Now you say it, doesn't sound like too bad of a plan, actually.
If I was to pick one, obviously apart from my good friend here, someone who probably helped me through my career would be John Skandalis. You could say, I mean, naturally another one would be Stuart Fielden for what he's done in the game and everything like that, but when he came here, he wasn't quite at his best. He just showed glimpses of what he could have done for us. He was so unlucky with injury. But John Skandalis, for me, taught me probably more than any other player. Just taught me how to sort of play the game in a different way, a bit smarter rather than harder. So he'll always go down for me as probably one of the best props that we've ever had. I mean, you start thinking about someone that we always get this name brought up is Brandon Costin as well, who's unbelievably talented, but I would never have him in my team. He was such a tool at times, very lazy and very arrogant. Yeah. And I remember watching him at the side of the pitch when he wasn't playing, so we were injured, and he was sat there reading a newspaper, looking at the horses, making phone calls for Bedsford Day with a coffee in his hand, because he could do whatever he wanted at that point, because he was just he was untouchable. So he always gets mentioned as one of the best players we've had. Talented, yes, unbelievably talented. Committed probably not as much, and I like the ones that rip in, the ones that did the tough stuff, and are professional and drag people through. And so another one probably a lose for Liam Fulton. We forget about him as well. Fulton was.
I watched the thing on the other day about the grand final where there were Fatuera, Fulton, Hodgson, Skandalis, Elford, and all them were here with us. And it's like peak of the careers again, as I've said, and it was just like say he was probably stayed on the radar, but I didn't realise he was a young kid playing for him then, and he were class. I've watched a few games when he went back as well, and I think we took him for granted a little bit how good he was.
No, did he do 1 or 2 seasons?
He come on loan out for one season, didn't he? Under Brownie, and then he went back to West Tigers.
I don't know if he came back again for a little bit, but he did go back there to West Tigers, and
we seemed to get everybody from West Tigers at that point. Didn't we?
Well, we used to
Skandalis,
West Tigers and Wigan.
West Tigers
That's
and
where we
Wigan.
used to get them all from, and they were absolutely class. You think like Wildy coming in, Stu Jones as well, and then Aspinwall, Robbo, and they all came and they were unbelievable.
Didn't even mention Kevin.
No, do you know something? How could we not mention Brownie? Again, just class act.
It'd be good to get them all down on paper, actually.
Yeah,
just see
we should do that
next week.
I think there'd be a couple in each position that it's hard to say. Depending on what game, it'd probably go down as well. If you were playing a certain team, you'd probably have a certain, certain thing. You would have a probably different one.
How big of an effect then, because you mentioned the players who come in then, how big of an effect does it actually have in a squad when you have somebody coming from abroad who's a big name player at the time?
It makes a big difference because you don't know. There's this anticipation with the player coming over, and someone like I said, like Drewy, I don't forget that when he was in the sports barn, and we were doing little sprints, and he was just sprinting out to me off, and I was like, oh my, he's rapid, and I was instantly thought, we're going to be all right here. Yeah. But then I've
skills as well with how we could ping and kick a ball.
Him and Hodjo, were the. 2 of the best, most talented players that I played alongside, and you instantly recognised it. They were a step above, a level above. Never seen anything like it. And then you see other players that have come over, and one that probably didn't have as good a career when he came over as the best winger in Australia with Jamie Simpson. Not sure he even scored a try for us. Lovely lad. He had his season ticket for Man United, which was really good for him because he didn't play that often that he could actually go and watch him. But it didn't go too well for him. And you knew it wouldn't do, and you could tell it straight away. Yeah. But when these come over,
what was the signs that he wasn't going to do great?
Because he wasn't very good. That was the biggest sign. Someone who makes an impression early doors, you know is going to do okay.
Is that why you need the coaches though to get beasted into you early on though? Do you think for that sort of reason? Because then you can tell straight away if somebody's going to take that on their stride, then you'd be able to tell that they're going to be up for it.
You can tell from the moment they step into training, instantly, just even passing the ball, technique. just at how quick they are, just the vision, just how they talk, how much they talk, little things, all these little subtle things, instantly.
Because he was supposed to be Brownie's big signing one, and he just worked it out. I remember talking to him on many occasions about Jamie Simpson. You know, when he was blowing his own trumpet bit, and I'd just go, "Oh yeah, I remember Jamie Simpson, Brownie." That'd bring him right down to
I think what got a lot of players is the climate. You come from somewhere in Australia to I think Odgie when he first turned up, he had that many layers on.
Yeah,
he looked like he was going to die at one point. Huddersfield winter, didn't it? He couldn't know it because the air was so cold.
Yeah,
it was just that gets a lot of players, and obviously it's a different game over there. So what might they do over there? Come over here, and it's different for them. So some acclimatised, and some fit in really well and bring a lot, and some probably get slagged a little bit because they've come over with massive reputations and not delivered.
Yeah.
So, and like I say, it's other side of the world with your family, and you've got other things going on as well. It's not just the rugby. You've got to make sure your family and your wife's happy. You might be isolated a little bit, and
a lot of injuries as well, don't they? A lot of players.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at all the players in Super League, and everyone just assumes because they're playing week in, week out, that 100% fit. Well, they're not. Half of them are nowhere near 100% fit, but they can play.
All the needles that used to be lined up for games, it was like you had a strapping board and you had a doctor board, and that were for your painkilling injections before.
Speaking of which, there's one of the things I wanted to go on to was you got a big injury towards the end of your Castleford career. And that was off the back of being asked to play, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You've spoken about this before, and it wasn't a...
No, I dislocated my fingers quite bad, and at the point where I was driving, my fingers were facing the wrong way. I was just constantly putting them back, so got them seen to, and they put some pins in, and they said it should set back, everything should be fine. And it was Fossard. He pulled up with a sore calf. I can't play this week. It was semi-final against Leeds in Challenge Cup. So the coaching staff said, "Do you think you'd be able to play?" So my finger would set straight with pins in. So we spoke to the surgeon. He said, "I'd rather you didn't, but if you really want to get some painkiller injections, but if we bend these pins, then we're in a bit of trouble." So played, bent the pins. So we had them reset. So it took a while. So even if we'd have got through to the final, I wouldn't have been able to play, because that was the deal. If you play and bend them, then you have to have this done.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we got extra time at Simfield, so that was disappointing, but bittersweet. So if I'd have got there, I probably wanted to play again because of the experience. So then, the operation, the next one, took the pins out, and he said, it's stiff, you're going to have to try and get it moving. So I was fighting with this finger, wasn't going anywhere. Went back in, he said, it's gone. As you can see now, it's fused. I had it fused like that, so I could still play.
Yeah.
So the bullet, so you can put the ball there and it wouldn't hurt. So I went back in, did another operation. Thought, this don't feel right. Took the pins out, and he said he touched my finger, it just fell it fell apart.
Wow.
So they took some bone from my wrist, put it in, more pins and wires, and they said, if this don't work, we're going to have to take it off. And that was an option before. Do you want? If you take it off, it might be quicker. I went, no, I don't want to lose the finger.
Obviously, Charles, you ruined my piano playing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so it's fused like that now, and that's how it'll stay. Like if I wasn't playing rugby, they could have put a false joint in, and I could have been fine. But because I was still going, so it was a tough decision to make, and I think 4 operations or 5 I had on that to get it to how it is.
Unbelievable.
And then you were hit with a double whammy when you eventually came back, that they weren't keeping you as well.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, thanks for that. Good body online. Yeah, and I mean, looking back now, I went to Whitehaven. Then I should have, looking back, ideally I should have probably just left it there, but personal circumstances with family life and stuff, I had nothing really I could do, so I had to carry on playing just to subsidise. So I went to Whitehaven. I enjoyed it up there. You know, people say, how do you drive up there twice a week and play? And I loved it. It was a lovely place, and really friendly people, and I really enjoyed it up there.
Was that sort of part-time? Was it part-time?
It was a part-time,
wage,
part-time rail. So I was doing a bit of HGV driving, just trying to find my way in the world, because like I say, I've played rugby pretty much all my career.
You've got some skills, haven't you? Mechanicking, tiling, HGV, professional rugby.
That's it. I tried to... again, that's what I tried to get... Speaking to players, you need to have a backup plan. If something happened to you tomorrow, you need to have something. And there were one lad who I coached amateur at Hunslet. He's at York now, Jack Teamby, and he was doing his electrician's course. And a player sort of like who took over coaching, he said, you need to pack that in and come full-time academy. And he goes, I don't know what to do, Jack. I said, whatever you do not give up that apprenticeship. You get qualified, rugby will take care of itself. You need something to back up. I mean, he's doing great there, and I mean, it's possibly a future in Super League. He's going down that route where he's still a young kid. He's doing really well. He's now a fully qualified electrician. You can't take that away from him. And I mean, I've known people that has give up on that, and now they've got nothing. You know what I mean? The rugby's not worked out, and because it's a tough environment. Not everyone makes it, and it's hard to tell people. One minute you could be one coach and doing well, next another coach comes in and you're not flavouring. No one wants you.
You wouldn't want people doing what you did, though, would you? At the back end,
No.
And I remember seeing you quite a lot around that time when you were playing for Whitehaven.
Yeah.
You probably weren't in the best shape.
Oh no, it's shocking. I mean, I've had 2 shoulder replacements. Like I say now, I won't change anything about rugby. You know, something like say the friendship you've made for life, but the aftermath now. I mean, now we've retired, all these niggles. So in January, I had the second shoulder replacement because the first one was wrong size. So walking around thinking, am I being soft? I can't itch my nose or I can't drive. And they'd put the wrong size joint in, so I'm walking around for a year with it dislocated. So I went to see, and then that's another thing. Obviously, when you play and you get injured, you're like, when Ella had your nose, I drove you over in the sling, didn't I? Taking for his operation. Not with elbow, one it would have took about 4 kilogram with the bone out.
That's it,
But yeah, and like Earl had that done, he went in straight away, where I had to wait nearly a year to go see the surgeon, and then you just, I know it's life, yeah, but it's like you take it for granted. Normally you have something you get fixed, so and I had to go and select spot Amit Panu, who used to be the club doctor here. We still speak to him quite a bit, don't we? And he said, you need to go see this guy over in Wigan. I went over to him and he said, if you had a shoulder I could help you, but because it's so he put me onto his mate, and again, waiting list. So I had what's called a reversal, where your ball, what used to be the ball, is now the socket, and vice versa, and they have to do away with the rotator cuff. So it's quite an horrible. Yeah, do you know something? They kept saying to me, "You're too young to be having this," but we've no option. We can't carry on like this. We have to do it. So they had loads of meetings which put it back, because they all had to say, "Well, look, we've got this young lad here, and we normally do this to 70-year-olds, and his shoulder's that bad, he needs to have it done," because it was unethical, really.
Yeah.
So I had no choice. I said, am I going to get better movement? Am I going to be pain free? And he said, yeah, you'll have better movement. And I've still got pain now. I've still got a few issues, but yeah, it's one of them.
And that's your reward for playing for 20 years of rugby league, is that you're now in a system where you have to just pray for the best. You don't get looked after. You've got these injuries. I mean, a shoulder replacement or 2 before the age of 40, and then you've got the rest of your life to look forward to that.
Anything else you're going to do?
I'm worth a fortune in scrap metal. When they cremate me, they'll have a field there worth a few quid.
You go through airports and it's just beeping everywhere.
I'm doing it with a little lad with metal detector, and my dad's borrowed it, put it on my neck, and that beeped on my finger, on my shoulder, more beeping going on. I thought it was hilarious. I've laid down, it's beeping me. Can't sleep.
Now, a brighter part of your career, there was back in 2008, you got to go to the Australia World Cup with your country, and so did Earl as well.
We saw a big girl out there.
Did you get to see much of each other while you're out there?
No,
So
I think we're
separated by
different parts of Australia.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, I mean that was amazing experience. Again, it was the social. We had Bruffy with us then, and it was entertaining. But we were based on Cudgee Beach, and it was it was just brilliant.
Yeah.
And we had Steve McCormack and his family, so we did a bit of training, and a lot of time you do what you want. So we were on beach, and it was some of the experience playing over there was second time. It was like stuff like you had to sort your Facebook account out, because the media over there is like our football over here.
Yeah.
They go after, they'll try and find any dirt, and it's not on me, but some people they'll try to find stuff, and it's like, well, it's a total different experience. This people taking pictures of certain players and what they're up to.
What was the Scotland squad like then? Because there's quite a few Aussies in the Scotland squad now, isn't there?
And there was then,
Was there? Yeah.
I mean, we probably the biggest name was Scott Logan. We had it fresh from the grand final, Roberts, who played as well. There were a lot of hype on him because he just won it with the Sea Eagles, the grand final. So everywhere he went, he were like superstar, really. And again, playing with them type of players, that lifted us all. And we did well. We beat Fiji in one of his first World Cup win, and it were. I mean, some of them guys were just massive, and for us, a little Scotland, to get that win over them. I mean, I broke my thumb in that one, but I think it was on what's the prop? Is it Toronto now?
Sims.
Yeah, Ashton Sims. I think we're having a bit of a bicker. I run out because I was angry and caught his big head and ended up having to have it pinned. So yeah, it was a brilliant experience. I think when Richard Fewlis was our manager,
team manager,
manager. So I'd done my thumb, and they said, "Oh, you have to have it pinned." But then they said, "Oh, we'll book your flight home," and I spoke to the surgeon. We had the surgeon's number on speed dial on that point. So I thought, will this be all right for another week? I went, yeah, don't worry. So I went, oh, it's fine, I've booked in for, they can't fit me until after, so I spent a bit more time in Australia.
Drew with Kitman at that
Drew
point?
with Kitman. I think he was trying.
Drew was
Kitman. He was trying everything possible to find some Scottish so he could play. So he managed Kitman,
Do you actually get to enjoy Australia while you're over there? Or how long were you there for?
I mean, we probably did more than you because
you definitely
was very strict on it. Ours was literally we trained a bit and get ourselves off, so we were getting taxis and go wherever. But I can imagine England would have been
very regimented. Even after the games, it was like, you're not going out because we're travelling the next day or whatever it be. You can go and have a drink in the sort of like what would be our like common room, as it were, where the massage beds and that, and so there'd be a few, like one beer each in there. You're like, really? And then you got all these lot, and they're sending you messages. Oh yeah, we're out here. It's like,
Andy Kelly was saying exactly the same, because I think he was in charge of Ireland. Was he in charge of Ireland at that time? And he was saying what he said. We just really enjoyed it. You boys were stuck in all the time.
We weren't allowed out, so I ended up going into casinos and stuff like that, which was in our hotel for one of them. But it's like things like that. It was absolutely awful, just because you weren't allowed out. You weren't allowed to do anything. But you did have a few people that were a little bit rebellious and would sneak out. I might have been one of those people, just because you just needed to get out.
I mean, it's fair. It wouldn't have been a problem for you because you're not very noticeable, are you? So
I'm a very caring person, so like people like Celtic, I would make sure I was there to look after you, make sure nothing went wrong. As a father figure almost.
Yeah.
Quite, that size, you could be my child. But it's
again, every time.
I've got to look after him. That's how I see myself, a senior figure.
But like you mentioned it before about you're packed with people who you wouldn't hit in games. When it comes to an international game, is that any different if you know somebody who's on the other team, especially in something as big as a World Cup?
Not with Aussies and Kiwis, you're going to get your head taken off either way. They are at a different level when we played against them at that time, because they just seem quicker, faster. No chance. You were just more worried about your life out there and trying to give it them as hard as can. But to be fair, there weren't many. I think the rules were there as well. If you played anywhere else outside of Australia, then you sort of didn't get in that team. But I were playing against like Greg Inglis and Billy Slater, Cameron Smith, and Darren Lockyer. I was probably more than anything. Like, I'm playing against the best players in the world. The last thing I was thinking about is, is there anyone I shouldn't avoid? Take it easy on. You just go and smash them as hard as you can and try and make a name for yourself. Petro Sevenasiva, I was matched up against him.
Was he playing for Australia or Fiji at the time?
Australia,
because he finished his career with Fiji, didn't he?
Yeah. He was unbelievable.
Because I remember there's a picture of him in my local at a Flying Horse in Rochdale when he played. Because Fiji, when they came over into the World Cup, they were based in Rochdale.
They've got quite a few Fiji links there,
in Rochdale, you've got the biggest Fijian population outside of London in the UK. Believe it or not, and it all goes. And it all goes back to the '60s when Rochdale Hornets brought a load of Fijians in from to play rugby for the Hornets. Interesting bit of trivia.
Every day at school. There you go. Podcast. You're learning.
That's going in the end of year quiz podcast quiz.
What? Where's Tim from? Flying Horse in Rochdale.
Where's Tim's local? We've got to speak about the games though. Last game, obviously, you called it, Tim. We got the win over Hull KR.
Certainly did, and I think we'll over Leeds as well. Tough fought battle on Friday night. Workmanlike, I think is. It was a tough battle, wasn't it? But we got there in the end, and probably one that could have gone the other way, like Wakefield twice, Castleford and Catalans. And you look at those, you think if we'd have had the points from that, we would have been fourth, but we're not. We're where we are. But
it's just so close, isn't it? I'm looking at the table. It's just
Unbelievable.
A couple of slip-ups and you're either going to in relegation battle or you're fighting out for a playoff. I've never seen it so close.
Yeah.
Like I say, but the thing is, so many people uncertain about the futures and the jobs and the mortgages. I just keep thinking about that. Oh God, the pressure they must feel.
Yeah.
Going into
being in that sort of,
it is. It's awful.
And it does. I mean, the game was brilliant from our perspective. It gives us a little bit more breathing space. And you can see with Simon Wolfer's reactions. You've seen him on Twitter and things like that. It's unbelievable. That's how much it means to him. He's feeling the pressure. Yeah. And I don't mean people say that. Go, are you feeling the pressure? It's like, well, of course you're feeling the pressure. You're a head coach. Yeah. You feel it no matter what. No matter what.
If you weren't bothered, you wouldn't be in that position in the first place, would you?
And then you are messing about with people's lives at the end of the day, because you do. As soon as you get relegated, your contract is void. But you have mortgages and things like that. It's a scary place to be in. I wish there were some more things in place. The reality of it is, though, we are in that position as a sport, and we don't do enough in that regard. But then you got the flip side of that, where St Helens rest about 10 players, which is very controversial, and they can do it. And I love the fact that young players are getting a chance. They're in a position where they're really high up. But it is sort of messing around with the game a little bit in my eyes.
Can I ask you one question now, the pair of you? Agree or disagree with the St Helens situation this week? And then I've got a comment to make after it.
I actually agree that they should be able to play whatever team they want to play at any time. Whether it's ethical, I'm not entirely sure, because
I know for a fact Leeds fans have been up in arms.
Yeah,
it depends who you're playing. Like, I think we did it at Huddersfield that time.
I was just going to. That was my next point.
I think I was captain in that one.
Yeah.
And it was we had Hodgson at full, young Hodgson. He had
Elliot.
I mean, we nearly beat him as well with a really young side.
I remember the game.
But it's who you're playing against. You know, so obviously that had no bearing on what could happen at the other end. Where. Do you know what I mean? It kind of a bit, not a dead rubber, but if no one's going to lose a job over that one, where this one could have been. Like I say, it's put them in a predicament at bottom there, hasn't it?
But I think this one's made worse by the fact that this is London's double over Saints. It's
second time they've rested players for it, but this time a lot more. But then end of season, it may not have an effect. It may make no difference, but. Ultimately, it's not their fault that all the other teams around have not won enough games. You've got to look at your own performances.
Exactly, that's what I said. I said, it's not their fault, that Leeds are in the position that they are at this point in the season. Because the argument is well, so you should have won more games earlier to put yourself in a better position.
Which comes to us. How do we not sell our next game? There's so many things riding on the
game. How do you
not
sell this game, Cameron?
It's impossible.
It's our Armed Forces Day against Leeds Rhinos. Bottom of the table clash could make us potentially safe. I think mathematically safe. I don't think we're mathematically safe, but potentially safe from relegation. It's a big West Yorkshire derby. We're celebrating the fact that we're signing the covenant. For the armed forces, which means we would not discriminate against any member of the armed forces, which I think is only a positive thing. That's how we sell.
And we've also buy your tickets now. A lot of other things in the pipipeline, haven't we, this week as well? We can't speak about them just yet, but we're making sure that we do everything we can to. Trying to attract people to the game, so it should be it's a good positive.
So watch this space, watch the social media, watch the website.
It's a chance for revenge as well. They got one over.
Chance for revenge. It's a must-win game for us. They're all must-win now, but I think it's going to be a fantastic battle down at the John Smiths, and we're going to beat the Rhinos 100%. I'm sure.
A bit of confidence from last week. The performance there was brilliant. So going into that on the back of a win, it just gives you that little bit of a. Training this week probably been a bit easy, not easier, but a bit more relief, going around, a bit of a buzz around. So you go into that game then thinking, do you know something? Let's kick on and do that again.
Weekend off, isn't it, for the boys as well?
Weekend off, so they're going to be refreshed, aren't they?
It's going to be a belting game, and hopefully we get some decent weather like it is today. Because
6-week heat wave, haven't we now? So.
It feels like it in this box today.
There's an heat wave in box 24, folks.
What sort of preparation will lads be under now then? If they've got a weekend's break, do they get that off then? The weekend for this sort of game?
It all depends on the coaches really and how they see things. And I've actually got their calendar on my phone, so I can tell you exactly what they're doing. I know they've had a couple of days off, and they're getting the weekend off as well. So they'll get the Saturday, Sunday, so they can spend it with their families. But they'll be training all week. They'll be doing the recovery. I've already seen that they're doing some tough contact sessions as well. The thing is, when we go into these games, you've got a 2-week obviously break from the last game essentially. It doesn't mean that you let up.
No.
It just means you get more recovery, you can spend more time on the players' individual needs, work on a lot more specifics going into this game, a lot more game plan, but also you need to rip in again. They'll be doing fitness still, they'll be doing contact, and as Jacko probably tell you as well, there's no real let up, is there?
No, I mean, I think there's quite a few teams that are abroad at the moment. They've been given a few days, so I've seen quite a few flash up in different countries.
Some working lads, I think.
Yeah,
I've seen a few
so it can be. I mean, like I say, it's not a let up, or if they give you a few days, they make you work for that. I mean, sometimes it's a false economy, innit? I've got a few days off here. You come back in, you go, why have I just had them days off? You get flogged, don't you? And you get back up to speed pretty quick. So yeah, sometimes it's just mental refreshment. Spend a bit of time with your family, recharge, and that's as good as anything, really.
Right then.
Can I just ask one question before we finish?
You can.
What are you doing now? What are you doing with yourself now?
Right, so when I retired, it was trying to find that way in the world and trying to reinvent yourself. Because obviously you've been out of the job market, so I was going to take a punt on a 30 or 40 year old to start again. Luckily, I got involved with working with children that are in care system. Right. So I was driving across over your side to take them out on outreach, do activities. Then I'm working over in Halifax now. A lot of ex-rugby players actually do this role. We've got quite a few, So
Gary Connolly does it, doesn't he?
Gary Connolly, I think he's at the same company. He's Towakoya Love. He's Danny Arnold. He's a manager at one of ours. Right. Byron Smith's one of our directors. So it's a big rugby intake on it. Right. So I started working over there, and then they've opened one in Halifax. So I started working residential side. I've just been promoted now to manager, so registered manager of in 2 years. So that's a great from my point. Just didn't expect to go so fast, but like I say, it's good to work with these kids. Sadly, there's too much of it going on. And it's a job that there's going to be around for.
Can you give us a bit more detail, if you can, about what that role sort of undertakes and the sort of children that are involved? Maybe a bit of background.
Yeah, I mean, there's all aspects. So there could be kids that still live at home and they have a bit of respite from family. So that's what I used to do. Go pick them up. We do activities, education, just try to get them in. But the one I work now is where the children have been taken into care. So we're actually the corporate parents. So although you try and treat them as much as you would your kids, you don't have the same authority, and you just try and get the best for them, try and get them on the right track. It's hard. I said sometimes it's so rewarding, but sometimes it's so challenging. Some of these kids, it's really complex needs, family so complex. Your hands are tied on a lot of things. So it's finding, like I say, the job satisfaction of getting these kids. Like I said to them a lot of time, you just here because you get paid and stuff. I actually say, well, I'd love to see in a couple of years where you're successful, you've got your own family. That's what we do this job for. You've got a chance here to make a positive change. Some of you won't help, and sadly they'll be in the system, but a lot of them, they do react really well to what we try to do.
It's a good breeding ground for rugby league players. I don't want to sort of, cast aspersions, but it takes a certain type
I think it is the mentality and the temperament of rugby players. They seem to do really well. Like I say, got Inspire over there, and a lot of ex-Wigan players. Say Gary Conley, there's Neil Baines there, Danny Arnold. Over this side, we've got a few more coming on as well, and it's actually something I've spoke to the RFL about. We've got Sporting Chance. Like Rugby League Cares, so we're going to have a sit down with them and see if there's anything we can put towards clubs if anyone's interested, and maybe just get them doing a tester and seeing if they like working with kids, because we do it anyway. When, let's say, in the schools where you go around, you're used to doing it.
I meant more the kids that you look after. Can you get it? Is there an opportunity to get them into rugby league?
I mean, we try. Sometimes it's like pulling teeth, try to get kids to do. I mean, there's boxing clubs that we've got them involved in, and we had one young person who were in a really dark place, He's brilliant. He's thriving now. He's at university. He drives over and does boxing. We got him involved.
Brilliant.
And so at one point we really feared for this young fella, and now he's making great strides. Like I say, he comes over on his own back now. He's passed his test, and he's actually a member of the boxing. He's won some fights as well. Brilliant. So that's like the success stories, and that just brings you on. And it's just like, want more of this. Want more people to. So like I say, just make a little. Like I say, you won't get all, but if you just make a little positive change in them, and that's it. That's all we hope for.
Brilliant. Good luck. All the best in it.
Yeah, cheers. No, it's really good, and it's really rewarding. Challenging at times, but a lot of rewards in it as well. Yeah.
I think that's a perfect point where we could end it.
Yeah,
so
lovely.
Thanks very much, Jacko, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. To your careers, and thanks again, gents, for coming along.
Cheers. Cheers, Jacko.
No, cheers, mate. Thank you.
And we'll be back again next week. So see you then. Thank you very much, mate.
Cheers.
Awesome.
Brilliant. Well done, mate.
Cheers, mate. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Cheers.